Okay, perfect. So one thing that I will say, this is Kristen, one thing that I want to say up front is that what I'm going to show you right now is really for someone who already knows how to do eCaST data entry. If you have any users at your site, potential eCaST users for the Care Coordination Grant Program who do not already have eCaST access or are not already familiar with it, they'll need to go through kind of the regular eCaST data entry training videos and get regular eCaST data entry access. And if you're on the call today and you're looking at this, it might feel like we're going really super fast, and it's because we're assuming a high level of knowledge already about the standard data entry. So check back in with me or Nick Rose. He is on paternity leave currently, but will be back next week. So continue to direct your questions to him as you start care coordination, and I'll check in with him as well to make sure that that's going well. But yeah, so we're going to go through specifically the care coordination piece. There aren't videos available for this particular piece quite yet because we were busy getting eCaST ready for it.
We're recording this, so someone else
we're recording this.
watch it again.
So you can watch it again. Maybe we'll cut this part out and put it in a video online. So if you're doing regular eCaST data entry, I'm going to look up a random client. So usually, let's say that your client is already in the system. So we found this client. We know that this is the client we want to do data entry for. If we go to the profile, as we always should, and just review to make sure all the information looks up to date, we go over here, we scan through, we see normal data eCaST entry. It all looks up to date. I feel very confident about this. She has a previous enrollment. It was fairly recently. It was April 2013.
Years ago.
Yes. Oh my gosh, I feel so old.
Okay,
Someone is on eCaST.
I'll we get that. Okay, do that.
Oh, that's how. Can you get off?
Yep.
Oh, you're absolutely right. Thank you. Good job, Emily.
Cindy, you're muted.
Whoa. Why did it do that?
Yeah.
Oh,
Let me go back to eCaST.
I do.
Back to my presentation.
Okay.
Okay.
So, you look up a regular client in eCaST. We see some services from some time ago. We're going to add a new clinical cycle for her. Again, it has to be...
Okay, wait, just a second. I'm going to mute.
We're muting everybody.
Sorry.
We always keep doing this.
All guests have been muted. You can unmute your line by pressing *6.
Thank you.
Hi, everyone. So press *6 if you need to unmute yourselves, and please feel free to ask questions throughout the eCaST portion.
Don't they have to re-enroll?
Yes, we haven't gotten there yet.
Oh, okay. Oh, I'm sorry.
You don't do eCaST data entry.
I don't get it. Same way.
You can enter enrollment in two different places, from the profile or from the clinical cycle. You guys are more than welcome to do it in either place. I'm showing you the clinical cycle way.
Got it.
But Chris is absolutely right. There are 5 million different ways to do something in eCaST. So,
Okay.
So we're going to select a date that is after the contract start date. eCaST will get upset at you if you enter care coordination client and request money for her, and she was seen before February. So don't do that. Or if you have error messages, check your dates.
eCaST is smart. Yeah. You really don't want eCaST mad at you.
It will find you and hurt you. All right. I'm just going to select somebody I know has an active contract for care coordination. So I clicked add. We just entered the opposite date. Generally the day the client received her breast and cervical health education, probably her past pelvic and HPV. And here is the place where you can add enrollment. You can also do this very easily from the profile screen, but we do not see our enrollment here yet. We're going to click add a new record. We're going to agree that we have we verified and documented her legal presence. Now you do not see CCGP here. All we see is WWCI. Remember that both your direct care service or service delivery and your care coordination program are both under the Women's Wellness Connection. So that's why we are continuing to select the Women's Wellness Connection as in your program of enrollment.
Wow.
So that might feel a little weird or different for a while. We're going to select the day she signed her consent form. I'm going to say it was the same day as her office visit in this instance. Here is where really the crux of letting eCaST know if you want service delivery or if you want care coordination occurs. You're going to let us know which of these options best fits this client. So if you're enrolling someone who does have Medicaid, you're going to say, yes, she has Medicaid, and eCaST is going to be fine with that because you have a care coordination contract with us. No, she does not have Medicare. We're going to say her income is $1,000 a month. She lives on her own.
With 14 people.
Lives on her own with 14 cats.
3 of her friends.
Okay, 1 and 2%. It's much better than, I don't know what that was. Screen negative. English. A physician. Okay, these bottom 3 are not required. So again, here, really the most important piece is what type of insurance you indicate. That's the only part that's different than regular eCaST data entry in the sense that you're now going to be purposefully putting people who have Medicaid or who have private insurance in here. Per the example that was brought up by Jessica at Denver Health earlier, if you had a client with a high deductible and you wanted WWC's service delivery side to pay for it, you would select high deductible instead of has private insurance.
Or does not cover
Or
screening.
does not cover screening.
And then you would call us and complain about the insurance that didn't cover her screening.
Yes, please do.
Yeah, let us know.
But yes, so this Medicaid one and private insurance are both things that indicate CCGP, the Care Coordination Grant Project or program, and then does not cover screenings, high deductible, doesn't have insurance. Those are all things that indicate the traditional Women's Wellness Connection service delivery program. So right now we're going to mark that she has Medicaid.
Before you leave the screen, Kristen, this is Angie. With the care coordination, the client profile tool is not required. And what we've heard from people is the most common issue with not using the client profile tool is that the monthly income and number living on income is not captured in registration, either when you're scheduling an appointment or when they're coming in for their initial appointment. So if you choose not to use the client profile tool, just be sure that you're capturing that information somewhere, because you will need to enter it into eCaST. Do you need to enter it for... Wait, do you need to enter it for care coordination?
Yes.
Okay.
You do?
Yes.
Okay. Absolutely.
Yes.
They need to be,
As I said that, I was like, wait a second.
And do let us know if that continues to be a barrier. There are different ways we can collect or document federal poverty level that meet the CDC's needs, so we can, that might be what's popping into your head and you're not sure why.
Yeah.
Because different programs collect this different ways in eCaST. So we can talk about that more if you realize, you know what, we'd be able to do away from the profile tool, but we don't have a good way to collect income and living on income. We have percent of federal poverty level is the only thing that shows up on our system, for example. Just let us know and we can at least start to collect that information and think about what we could do with it.
Thank you, Kristen.
Yeah.
Okay, so is there any questions about this entering enrollment? Should be the same as usual, just continuing to enter accurate information. It's just you've got a larger or different pool of people you're doing it for. Sound good?
So remember, through this, we still can't see your chats, and if you have any questions, *6. *6 and, yeah.
What is it, an Internet Explorer?
Yeah.
Global.
Nope, same one. It's the same.
Okay. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and click Save. That disappears, and I'm going to click here. Now I see my second one for 2015. I'm going to mark it that says I want to add something based on this enrollment, and click Create a New Screening. Again, now we're on regular data entry mode. We're just entering the services that have been provided to this client. The only thing that will be different is we might enter a different funding source, whoever paid for her procedures.
Well, we have to, don't we? Or else it will be all mixed up.
Yes. So
Okay.
if you, but again, regular data entry mode. Other than WWC funding source for regular data entry requirements, You know, anything you learned about regular WWC applies here, except that we're entering Medicaid as the funding source. So we're going to indicate that she has had WWC-funded breast health education provided. I'm going to point out that you have to have had a mammogram to receive payment through the Care Coordination Project. So, for example, if I write no mammogram done and I only do health education, it won't pay me. Instead, I have to provide a mammogram. So that might be something where you need to feel out or figure out at what point to enter clients in for breast cancer screening services into eCaST, because I know a lot of you guys would enter it after the CBE. And then you're using eCaST to track or make sure that you're remembering to put in the mammogram. So you might need to think through that. I'm not sure if either of the pilot sites has some feedback about how you guys achieved that. Star 6 to unmute yourselves if you have any ideas. And I'm continuing to do regular data entry, so I'm entering a CBE. This client has Medicaid, so I'm selecting Medicaid here. Entering the result as usual, entering the facility as usual. I know it's a weird, it doesn't say Peak Vista here. This is our training environment, which has a weird subcontractor list. Nice. Okay, so I'm just going to show you for kicks. I'm going to click Save so you see what the main screen looks like. So it has a caution flag here. It says two things. So this one's normal to you guys, so pending screening is not complete. This one's unusual. So CCGP, so the Care Coordination Grant Program, breast screenings must have a mammogram.
All right.
Okay, so this could be your reminder to yourself. You can leave them there with a caution flag saying that until you're ready. My only caution to you there is if they don't ever return, we can't reimburse you for it.
Right.
So we're going to go ahead and we're going to add the mammogram. What's that?
Where's your phone?
Sorry. I thought I was outside. So again, we're going to select Medicaid. We're going to say it was performed yesterday. Virus 2. Screening. Rural Hospital, not at the endoscopy center. And then the final step that we have to take is we need to update the follow-up recommendation to indicate that we're all finished with her data entry. So follow routine screening, save. We'll click save at the bottom. And so now we see a new level here, and number 7.
Nice.
So that is what you'll get when you enter a mammogram into eCaST under CCGP. Let's go ahead and mess some things up just to show you other things that eCaST will tell you or warn you about. So if you're, in regular data entry eCaST mode and you accidentally put this mammogram in but you mark WWC instead, I feel like that was a fairly common, I feel like I almost accidentally did that this morning when I was practicing. eCaST, if we do WWC, gets upset. And it should say something like CCGP procedure funding source is invalid.
Got it.
Okay. So let's go ahead and let's fix that issue. We'll fix that issue by changing it to Medicaid, and we're all good. So that's probably going to be the most common data entry error that you make, is that you don't want WWC to pay for the procedure. Instead, you want WWC to pay for the care coordination. You want to pay for this through CCGP. Are there any questions about the breast cancer screening? I am going to also enter a cervical cancer screening so you can see that as well.
Star 6 to unmute. So I think just to acknowledge that it is a teeny tiny bit weird, like you kind of want something to enter to say, hey, I navigated this. Hey there.
Done navigated.
Yes. And, eCaST was not built that way. And if we wanted that kind of button, we wouldn't be starting in February. But the idea is, if you think this is how I think about it, is that in order to get that mammogram, we know that it's sort of happening behind the scenes, that she wouldn't have gotten that mammogram without you navigating it. So I think it is a little bit, maybe it's less weird for you all because it's like us, where that's what we're used to doing for WWC clinical services. But I know the first inclination is like, wait, where do I say? Hey, here's all the things I did for her. So we acknowledge that, but we know it's happening because they are moving through the screening process. And then we're paying you for it.
Yep. So let's go ahead and add a cervical cancer screening. I'm going to show you a couple of different things. So again, we'll mark cervical health education. We're going to indicate she hasn't had a hysterectomy. We're going to indicate she's had a PAP test recently, and that she doesn't need one today.
That's more than 5 years.
She
the alligator eats the bigger number.
The alligator. That hurts my brain. I don't even know how to process that. So, no. So you're going to actually mess me up instead of help me.
You learn it in 2nd grade.
Oh, do you? Okay, so here we've indicated that she had health education and she didn't have a PAP test or an HPV test today. I'm just going to go ahead and click Save to point out that if her services ended here at Health Education, that is payable at a level 7.
T7.
So let's go ahead and I'm going to undo that. I'm going to pretend like she had an abnormal just to show you how to get to the higher level, the level 8.
Okay.
So instead we'll say that she did have routine PAP test done, add procedure. And we'll do all 3. I'm going to go kind of quickly here, but again, only thing, I almost went to WWC. The only thing we're doing differently here is we're adding Medicaid. My bad subcontractor list.
Yeah, really.
Okay, so we're here, we see the pelvic exam, we're going to add a PAP test. Again, I tried to do WWC, but no, it's Medicaid. Satisfactory, liquid-based. We're going to put that it was ASCH because I want to show you what an abnormal looks like for the Care Coordination Project program. So now we do see eCaST realizes she's got an abnormal, she needs some follow-up. We're going to go ahead and enter a positive HPV. Again, our HPV is Medicaid funded. So we have our 3 screenings. We see further immediate follow-up required. If I click Save here, I can go back to the main screen just to show you. We will have that caution flag. The caution flag says additional diagnostics are required. So exact same as regular WWC service delivery. We reimburse based on case completion. So this case isn't closed yet, therefore it's not saying that it's ready for payment. If you changed this, for example, to loss to follow-up, it would calculate at a level 7 because you didn't achieve any diagnostic procedures being completed. So I changed it to loss to follow-up. Now we are at a level 7. It's a waiting payment. I don't know if you guys realized you could do that or not, but if you've got you've got a green symbol with a number in it and you want to see payment, just click on it and you'll see the billing history here. So this says it's awaiting payment. We're going to click resume and we're going to say lo and behold she came back. We closed that out a little bit too soon. Defaulted to a funny place. Save, so we've reopened the case. I'm going to click add diagnostics to add a colposcopy. Again, just like regular data entry, except we're going to select Medicaid as the funding source. Say that happened yesterday. I'm going to make this easy on myself. Actually, I'm not. I'm going to make this hard on myself so that you guys can see what to do when you have a cancer case.
Now, Christine, could you go from Medicaid and change that funding source? Let's say she had Medicaid and now she has private insurance.
If she switched?
It shouldn't matter. It shouldn't matter.
The only, we can do that, and I'll show you. The only question I almost have for the team and for you guys is, we're, it did get upset at that.
It did,
Let's see why.
She was enrolled as Medicaid, so I think it's looking for it to match.
Let me
When we signed her up, we said she had Medicaid. So I wonder if it double checks that. It's getting mad at you.
Let's
eCaST
see.
is getting mad.
You don't want to do that.
I'm jotting that down, just to double check. Okay. I'm going to change it to Medicaid for now.
Okay.
But private or fund insurance should be fine. If she switches from Medicaid to private insurance mid-service, both of those still qualify for care coordination. I would think in that instance that you would update her insurance to reflect whatever she had latest. Do you guys agree with that?
Yeah.
The only instance that you wouldn't do that is if you wanted a lady who got on Medicaid midway through her services, but you wanted WWC to service delivery to reimburse for her. You would have to leave that as no insurance so that we know to pay for it. That's the only instance where you don't always update the insurance status to match what she has as of her last service in the screening. So that's a little confusing. That's where you really have that fork in the road and you're deciding,
Yeah.
do I want CCGP, do I want care coordination, or do I want service delivery? So here we will add a final diagnosis. I just wanted to show you a more complex one because it will continue to pop up Medicaid eligibility regardless of the fact that Angie mentioned earlier, no clients for care coordination are eligible because they have insurance. So you'll simply always mark not eligible. Has Medicaid. So I just wanted to point that out, that you will have to fill that out for the handful of clients who end up getting to the point of being diagnosed with the cancer. You'll indicate that they're not eligible for Medicaid, and the reason why is that they have Medicaid or they have private insurance. So we go ahead and quick save here, and hopefully you see level 8 right here. So that is about it. If you, for example, this is maybe not the best example to this in, but if, for example, for whatever reason you wanted to say, no, I don't want Medicaid to pay for this. It turns out she never had Medicaid. This was a data entry error. I don't know.
The portal said she did, but
She really didn't.
Something.
You would just change it to no private insurance or Medicaid. eCaST pretty immediately realized that this was okay because this was okay. It paid for the health education. This is actually really good. It had paid for the health education. It's still totally happy with you marking Medicaid here. So if you want WWC to pay for something, you have to change the CBE to WWC funded, the mammogram to WWC funded. Otherwise, it's going to think all you're asking for from WWC is payment of the health education.
Exactly. Well, and the same thing with the cervical. They had all those other procedures. If you want to get paid for them, got to go back and fix those.
Yep. I don't know why this one has an error, though. I am curious.
Maybe it did.
The colpo.
It really doesn't like this colpo.
Huh.
Oh, I know why, because it's upset that you can't have a diagnostic procedure without having a WWC funded procedure.
True.
So it's confused as to whether or not you want this to be a diagnostic referral. So really the end story here is if you switch insurance to that she doesn't have insurance, you need to go through and review who you need to pay for each individual procedure. More often than not, what you're changing instead is you've got a woman who you thought was going to be WWC and it turns out she's Medicaid. Does that make sense? And I would just say with those clients to be cognizant of whether or not in that period between her filling out the paperwork and getting enrolled, what date ended up being her effective date for Medicaid, and is Medicaid paying for the procedures in the meantime? Because your system is set up where automatically that payment is retroactive, and I know some people's systems are like that, then that does mean that you need to go back in here and change it from Medicaid to WWC, or the reverse, rather.
Right, and I think agencies are already dealing with that.
Yep.
Non-CCGP agencies.
But now you have a new path for her to go through.
New things to deal with, so yeah.
You have a path for her to help her.
Yeah, absolutely.
And call Kristen or Nick, like, as those come up, because I think it's, here's the idea, but they can help you walk through what to do and what needs.
Yep, and we can identify also, we identified, I think, within the first month of the pilot project that there was this issue of women needing to move from WWC to the care coordination pilot project. And so we built in the capacity to move fairly easily between the two. There's no easy way in eCaST to get both of them, so that's not an option right now, unfortunately. But you can bounce back and forth between the two, so don't feel like if you listed service delivery, you can't change her. You can totally change her from care to care coordination if it turns out she gets enrolled into Medicaid for some of her services. So just let us know when those weird things come up, and we'll hopefully help you do the data entry and then maybe log it so we know if we need to discuss it further and make other changes to the system.